Good morning. Good morning. It's Leanne Peters here. I'm from templeofbalance.com.au, Temple of Balance on Facebook and Temple of Balance on YouTube. And I've been dragging my feet a bit this morning, feeling a bit tired. And I had a question that Linda asked this morning, how to get started. So I thought it was a great moment to talk about it and also motivate myself, which doesn't happen to me very often, but I just feel a bit tired. I slept in a bit more than I would have liked. So what I'll be doing is I'm going to talk to you about what I find helpful to get started, especially on things that are creative, but it may also apply to getting started on a new hobby or getting started or opening doors in our life in general. So I had things to do on the computer this morning which I just didn't feel like focusing on. So I thought, right, I'm going to start getting together this plan I have for some clay, which is, might sound a bit weird. It might sound a bit strange, but what I'm going to do is this dragon bowl. Can you see it? Good morning, Jeanette. This dragon bowl, which may be in the shadows a little bit. I want to enter this into an exhibition, but I wanted to make it a little funny. So because I think of this as a dragon's nest, I'm going to make a little cuckoo bird, a crazy, desperately hungry, deceiving cuckoo bird in the middle of this nest. This is all finished, so I'm going to make the cuckoo bird, this little crazy bird, a little cartoon bird. I'm going to make it separately, and I might even make two a little different and then decide if I like it in there or not, but that's my aim. So this morning, because I didn't feel like being on the computer, and then I was thinking, okay, how can I help someone who asks me how to get started? And I thought this is probably a great example. So I've been sketching up some little cuckoo bird, or some little crazy, desperately hungry birds, making some notes here about what I want, or what I observed about the pictures that I saw, that there's a lip around the sides and the bottom lower part of the wide open beak that I want to definitely emphasize. They seem to have really long scrawny necks, these little baby birds, a scraggly body. It's desperate, it's hungry, because it's a cuckoo bird that is taking over the nest of the dragons. It's also foreign, it's deceptive, but the mother and the father seem to love it. They don't realise that it's not their right offspring. And I want to over-exaggerate it and make it a bit cartoon-like, give it energy and an impact. So hopefully it's funny is the aim. So then I also was scribbling. I wanted it to be a little fat cuckoo bird. He's very plump. He gets lots of food from these dragons. So just sketching around with some ideas. So that really helped me get started this morning. The very important thing to do to get started with anything is just to start, isn't it? It's to start. So if we procrastinate, if we put it off, if we go and distract ourselves with other things, then we're not going to get started. So the key really is to not overthink it and just start, just do it, even if it's a short amount of time. If it's a big long project or a big long thing that we're facing, then it can be easy for the energy to dwindle as we get further into the project or further into the task that seems to go on forever. It's a bit like writing a book. Writing a book, the easy part is having the idea. The relatively easy part is having an outline, but the difficult part is the continual action and writing those words, regularly to get the book finished, or the bulk of the book fleshed out. So the key really is to start. So for me, starting this morning, it was starting with looking at some pictures, getting some sketches together, warm up, bring some water that's warm because it's cold down here. So bringing some warm water, turning on the heater, making it an enticing place to be. I've got all my materials here ready to go. I've got my clay and some tools, and I'm lucky enough to be in my new art studio, so it's also a lovely place to be. So good morning everybody. So maybe I'll start making one of these with you just to see what we can come up with. So let me move this dragon bowl, the dragon nest, off the area, and I might bring my camera down, and you can just, I'll just be my body here, I suppose. So let's see what we've got in here. I haven't used this clay for a little while. So how are you doing this morning? I see Susie is here and Janice is here. Good morning. Who else is here? I can't really scroll up with clay fingers. Okay, so whether most people aren't probably going to use clay, but if you've had a task or something that you've been thinking about doing or putting off, is there a little bit of time that you can make today to get started? Get started. Really in many ways it's the easy bit. Okay, this is probably a bit big for what I want. So let's have this little piece of clay. I'm going to make 2 little pinch pots, and I want to join these pinch pots together to help start making the body of my bird. So let's just cover this up because clay is not good if it dries out. And we'll pop this spare piece here onto a bit of plastic and make a little ball. Did you play with clay in school? Anna's here from Sweden. Hi Anna. So this is stoneware clay, and it's quite white. It's the clay I use now in my smudge bowls with making my garden wizards. So I just want to make a ball, and then I want to poke my thumb in to around the center. I don't want to go all the way through, and I just want to start pinching my thumb that's inside the hole with my my 3 fingers on the outside, not my little finger so much, which seems to stick in the air, doesn't it? Maybe that's just a little thing that I do. And I'm thinking this is going to also be a bit big, but we will just start with this. So what I'm doing is I'm pinching just very slowly through. As I pinch, I create a bigger hole in the middle, and what I'm trying to do is get the thickness here, the wall here, a lot thinner than this, maybe about 1/3 of this particular thickness. So I don't want to have too thin of an edge here because I'm going to join these 2 halves together to start making the body of this baby, crazy, desperate cuckoo bird. So just continuing to pinch out. I'm thinning the walls on the inside part first and further down in the base, and working my way towards the edge. I want to cut my fingers around a bit because I don't want it to, it will get bigger, it will get wider if I don't kind of pinch also sort of inward into the circle. So we're getting a little thinner here. So we'll just thin out a little bit more, and we've got a bit of a pot, a little pinch pot, and we'll sit him here, and we'll do the same with this other side. And you can make lots of different things using this technique. I think Andrea, I saw you on here. I've actually ordered some air drying clay, a different type that I do want to play with, and then hopefully guide through some I don't know, something fun that we can do. So we've got a ball of clay, solid ball, and I'm poking my thumb in almost to the bottom but not, so it sits like this, and then put my thumb in and just start pinching. Basically I'm just pushing together my thumb and my fingers. So let's see what we can, how we'll go with this. So I'll pinch this out. Good morning, Patricia from Belgium. Where's Belgium? I'm not sure, I haven't heard of Belgium, but welcome, Patricia. Yes, it does sound like fun, Andrea, thank you. Let's see how the clay sits. Air dry clay that I've used before is not good in general. It, I don't know, it's just horrible stuff to work with. So I figured that I would just look for some different types and see what we can find, because I have had requests before from people, especially parents, asking about air dry clay and how to use it, you know, what they could make or how they could use it with their children. Okay, so I'm just swapping hands over here. And it's not too, I'm not too worried about all these marks from pinching on the outside, because I'm going to change the shape anyway. So this will just become a base. So we can't have solid clay if it's going in the kiln, because it will explode. So we have two halves, or two little pots. If you made bigger ones, you can make them into little plants. If you wanted two little planters. So I'm just pushing these down so they're nice and flat on the ends, because I'm going to join them like this. And it's going to be a monstrous bird. So it's not probably going to likely turn into the bird I wanted, but that's okay. We will just go with this and make something else. So to join two pieces of clay, we need to do what they call score and slip. So I've got a needle tool, which is just a pointy tool, and I'm going to just score. So scratch into the clay. The clay is quite wet, so yeah, I don't probably need to be too fussy with that. So we've got one side scored and this next side scored, and then we grab a brush. Where is my brush? I put it away. I've got a brush, a little bit of water. I'm just going to run some water around here because it's quite wet. I don't need to put this slip on, which is just watered down clay. I don't need to put that on too thick. In fact, I probably don't really need any, but I want to make sure there's a good join. So now the fun part, we get to push these together and give them a bit of a twist and a push. So just jiggling it together to get a nice bond between these two parts. So if I try and pull, I'm pulling fairly well, these don't come apart. So push them together. Now I've got a bit of a dip in here, so I want to add a little coil, or a sausage. So I'll grab my clay and cut a little bit off. So what's the best way for you to get started? I think sometimes it is a state of mind, which we've talked about a lot this week. Our state of mind. Also, if the state of our body is tired or lethargic, like mine has been this morning, it's also quite difficult to get motivated. So, you know, sometimes we just need to have a little bit of patience. Sometimes we need an incentive of some sort to get started. Sometimes, like I said before, we just need to just stop thinking about it and just get started. Sorry, I think I'm wobbling the camera a bit here, but we've got a nice coil, and I'm just going to push it in around here. Now, because this is quite soft, if I push too hard, I'm going to make indentation. So I just want to push firmly, and then I'm going to join it in a minute. Pushing just firmly with my thumb while supporting the rest of the piece, breaking it off there, and we have this belt kind of thing. I'll just put this sausage, the rest of this piece back in under the plastic so I can use it later. So now I can use a little paddle. I've got this little piece of driftwood I found at the beach, and just paddle very gently, pushing that coil on just a little better than my thumb could do. And now we've got a couple of lines here that I want to blend, so we'll grab a tool for that. I'll use this, or you can use your fingers, and I'm just going to pull some of that top clay down over to the bottom and start moving this line away, out and away. Yes, I agree there, Janice. Air dry clay is not nice to play with at all. In fact, you can't really play with it. It's kind of strange, but it was helpful. It was good stuff to make runes with, because you can just roll out a flat piece of clay, a slab, and make your little impressions on the runes, you know, carve in with a tool or something, and then pop them in the oven for a little bit just to help speed up the drying process. But the air dry clay stays wet for weeks and weeks. It's slimy stuff. But hopefully this new stuff that I'm getting, which you can fire or you can just let air dry, hopefully this will be better. But I'll let you know when it arrives, and I'll have a play and we'll see. So we have a nice joined, reasonably joined, two pots joined together to make an egg. You could turn this into anything. It could become a pear, could become an animal. We're going to turn it into a bit of a bird. So now I need to manipulate this a bit. So I'm thinking of just keeping my hand here, that's going to become the base, and I'm going to just start pushing up a bit and deforming this shape. So I'm wanting to bring it up basically to the neck. Where do I want the neck to be? And I'm going to have to attach the head separately. So just pulling up with my thumb, the side of my thumb, I can pinch with my hand, start changing the shape a bit. I can also use a paddle if I want to, just to help push the shape over. Start really pinching up here where I want the neck to be. And I want it to be a little plumper, so just plumping down the bottom. So now I've got this little spot for a neck for now. I've got funny, I don't know which is going to be the front and the back yet, but let's sit in here and add a bit of a neck. See what happens. Good morning, Joanne. Okay, we'll just grab a bit of something. Bit of something here for a neck and a potential head. So it's really important with clay we don't have any air bubbles, because that's more likely to explode in the kiln. So I'll just break a bit of that off, because that can become the head a bit later. So let's just make a little bowl. I think I'm just going to poke straight through with my finger and create just a little ring that I'm now pinching so it's a little thinner. And this is just the way I'm going about this right now. Other people may do it differently. So that will do the job. We'll give that a tap so it's got more bigger area to join. So I'm going to sit this here on my banding wheel out of the shadow. So I'm going to sit that there. I'm going to trace around it with my needle tool, just very lightly. Give it a scratch, a bit of a score to help with the joining. And same with underneath. Add a little touch of water and give this a push and a wiggle on. Okay, I'm not going to add a coil to this because I'm just going to bring down, hopefully, bring down some of the clay from the neck down onto the body. And I can smooth it out as I go, but it's probably better to smooth it out a bit later because I don't really know what I'm going to be adding and doing yet. And then we'll just join or run my tool inside the inside part of the neck, which I will end up making into a hole. I'll put a hole in there so that all the air can travel through. I don't want any air pockets, preferably. Okay, so let's draw this little neck up. They're quite scrawny and they almost hold a big head on them, these little birds. Okay, so maybe we'll put a hole in now, since I've kind of closed that up. So I'm just going to push down here and push a hole all the way through into the body. Okay, so we've got the, can you imagine this squawky bird? Now I haven't done one of these before, so let's figure out how we're going to do it. I'm looking at my little sketches here that I've made. So they have, the beak really takes up most of the space. So let's start with an indentation that's going to become the inside of the mouth. And just start pinching and pulling. I want a really big open beak. Desperate little bird. I want to flatten in here. We'll probably make a hole in that later, but I just want to get a idea of the shape first. We'll pinch this down here that's going to come into the neck and we'll just test it out. Okay, the neck might be a bit long, but we'll deal with that after. So that gives us a basic shape already. I can grab a little tool, a little something, a little lid of a pen to push in for the eyes, or if I want them a little bigger I can do that, and then a little slit. They seem to have a little slit in there for their eyes. I suppose that they've got their eyes kind of closed as they're squawking away. And that could sit in here. And there we have the beginnings of a bird. I can start getting some wing shapes in here. And I can decide if the neck's too long, I can cut that. In fact, we might cut that just a little bit off. And that's better, I think. Then we can just continue to push in the shape of the body, figuring out where, if we want little legs coming out, is it too high, all that sort of stuff. We can join the head a bit later. So that is about the start. Now I'm going to fiddle around and probably make it smaller because I think it's probably a bit big for what I want it to do, but it's a good starting point. So thanks for watching. Where would you get that type of clay from? Sorry, which type of clay, Mary? The air drying clay? Or let me know. I'll if you see this and I've gone, just let me know and I'll let you know. Hi, Kels. So, yeah, hopefully you've been inspired to think about how to get started, and maybe you won't put it off, and you'll see if you can make a little bit of time, maybe even today, to get started on whatever it is that you want to start on. It may be something small. Oh, the clay I'm working with is, it's Australian clay, and it's from, it's called Walker's 10 stoneware, which you can find at walkerceramics.com.au. But there should be clay wherever you locally are. There should be clay you can access somewhere in a clay supply place or something. So let me know if you have further questions. I might be able to help. But thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks, Mary. And thank you, everybody. I'll catch up with you next time. Goodbye.